So this Derrick Jaxn dilemma, where he came out not just in response to what Kevin Samuels was talking about, but in defense of a woman who was clearly out of order from a social perspective, and definitely out of order when it came to her own personal assessment of herself, in line with what it is she felt in her delusional mind that she qualified for. In the Macadine book, in our book, which I urge all men to get your hands on, chapter 24 is titled Adam and Steve, which is actually, in my humble opinion, Adam and Steve is a syndrome. But in the chapter Adam and Steve, I'm going to read this little brief chapter. We go into the mindset that is in men of all colors, but especially the so-called black man, which I will go into it a little bit deeper because of what we've been through in America the past 400 years. So I begin chapter 24 by stating, a Steve, in this case, is a beta male, a alfalfa, khalifa, dodo, etc. And these different names that I just said, alfalfa, khalifa, dodo, those are actually Macadine words that you will have to really get the book to understand. But even alfalfa, khalifa, and dodo are beta males as well. They are references to beta males. So a Steve, in this case, is a beta male who opposes the rise and success of his gender by superficially championing feminine causes to no avail. He exposes what little masculine secrets he knows to women to win their favor and to cast the illusion that he's a true man and friend to them. But unknowingly, he's their sucker as well. In reality, he's nothing but a dame in a man's body. See Macadine glossary on Adam. He's insecure, envious, and full of self-hate. Several literal Steves of notoriety, and in this case we were talking about Steve Harvey and Steve Wilkos, who are beta male tricks. But right now we're using this descriptive understanding for Derrick Jaxn. Okay, so several literal Steves of notoriety fit the aforementioned description to a T. They inflate and raise women while blatantly degrading the man. Even most of the so-called help they claim to give men is for the purpose of making them better tools and fools for women. Due to their deep ignorance of themselves and women, whom they don't really have no knowledge of, they are unknowing and sometimes knowingly part of the problems plaguing male and female relationships. We're talking about the Derrick Jaxns today. A lot of so-called great men of history and present were these type of males. For example, King David and so-called Prophet Muhammad both deliberately put men on the front lines during war for the purpose of obtaining their wives. The henpecked, insecure 17th century king of India, Shah Jahan, who had one of the wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal, built for his wife, whose name was Mumtaz. He had the hands of 20,000 men responsible for its construction cut off to ensure that they wouldn't go off and rebuild the structure somewhere else. See, these are type of men. These are who we refer to as boys with beards. Because they're faulty models of men that must be done away with. They're part of the problem. They're part of the problem. And one thing that Derrick Jaxn made clear, or that he leaked out in what he was saying in regards to Kevin Samuels podcast or YouTube cast that night with that young lady. He said that basically his star has risen and that he's going to fall. That he's seen men like Kevin Samuels just come and go. But why do men of principle come and go and men like you who have your head up women's asses remain? Why is that? But this goes even deeper when it comes to black men. Because this is basically, and all it's dealing with is this disease of the heart that black men have, is this called envy. Envy, which is a disease of the heart. And when you see someone around you that is doing good, that is blowing up, so to speak, and for no reason you feel like that hurts you or that disturbs you, and you have something bad to say about that individual, you are suffering from the disease of envy. And when it comes to black men, there's a history of that you can see in black leadership. Because if you go back to the days of Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, who had the biggest black organization in the history of America, 1 million followers, who was his opponents? His own people. W.E.B. Du Bois, Asa Philip Randolph. These were the opponents that were against this beautiful brother who only wanted to help them become independent from their oppressor and their enemies. Then you go 40 years down the line, you have Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They were against each other. And envy was at the root because Martin Luther King was henpecked by the white man like Asa Philip Randolph and W.E. Du Bois was, and they were upset that a grassroots brother out of prison without formal education had the ability to stir up the masses of black men and make them want to do for self. So this envy thing that you see between Derrick Jaxn, or should I say from Derrick Jaxn on to Kevin Samuels, is the same old tricks that result from a slave mentality and self-hate and self-regard for your brother. This should be against the law. Whenever someone stands up going against someone based on feelings as opposed to based on the truth, they should all be checked. Because truth should be the most important aspect of what it is that we're trying to teach and give unto the people. So, once again, the disease of the heart that we see and the manipulation coming from these diseased sisters who are trying to pit brother against brother. And I'm going to go into that in my next talk. But you have these sisters out here who are upset with the truth that Kevin Samuels has shared and is sharing. And he's not the only truth bearer, but he's standing firm on the reality that he's teaching that cannot be refuted. But people want to come out attacking his character, attacking his sexuality, as opposed to dealing with the truth that the brother shared with the masses. So, on that note, brothers, let us deal with one another as men. If you have a problem with me, if you disagree with my message, let us come together behind closed doors and iron things out. That's what real men do. We don't go out here, casting aspersions and innuendos and accusations. That's what the bitches do. Real men salute each other and we honor each other. And we walk together or we walk apart in peace. More later.